Good evening, I'm Asha Tomlinson. Ian is away. Tonight, space tourism takes off.
I was once a kid with a dream.
Billionaire Richard Branson's promise to open the final frontier to the rest of us.
If we can do this, just imagine what you can do.
And we examine the environmental impact of increased launches. Also tonight, blazing heat, out-of-control fires, and spiraling anxiety on the West Coast.
Even if you have lived through fire seasons, there is always the chance that it could turn another direction.
Ottawa slaps down new rules for rail lines in Tinder Dry, BC. And the highs and heartbreak of the beautiful game. Italy breaks English hearts as the Euro Cup goes from home to Rome. This is The National. In a whole new kind of space race, this one a competition between billionaires. We now have a winner. Today, Richard Branson beat out Jeff Bezos, successfully blasting off in his own Virgin Galactic rocket ship and making it to the edge of space.
3, 2, 1, release, release, release. Clean release. Ignition.
The craft took off attached to a plane, but then separated to continue the journey. For Branson, the adventure was part business, part pleasure. A dream come true that also ushers in a new era of space tourism. And as Lauren Pelly explains, there is excitement there, but also concern.
There's release there, the exciting moment, lighting the rocket motor and headed to space.
One small step for mankind, one giant leap for billionaire Richard Branson.
Welcome to Space, Unity 22.
Branson's flight marked his company's 4th trip to the edge of space, but the first with a full crew and with him on board. All 4 passengers got a few minutes of weightlessness.
This is something only a handful of humans have ever experienced.
Then the craft made a smooth landing back on Earth. It took 17 years of work to get to this point, and there were hard times. 4 people died in 2 separate accidents. There will be more test flights before the public can climb on board. But today was all about this moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here is Sir Richard Branson, astronaut.
Or you could say space tourist.
The mission statement that I wrote inside my spacesuit was to turn the dream of space travel into a reality for my grandchildren who are here, for your grandchildren.
It's a major shift from historic space travel, from the earliest orbits and moon landings, to the modern astronauts of the International Space Station.
Very good.
Spaceflight in the past was about sort of militarization, the Cold War, and then science. Now spaceflight's becoming about experience and selling that experience.
And liftoff.
Those experiences cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some warn there's another price attached as well.
These industries are largely unregulated. They are in a position to be contributing greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. And I think it's supremely ironic that, wealthy people are shooting off into space in amongst this when we've got heat waves and a pandemic, and they're there to kind of prove their wealth influence and to create new business opportunities playing in the atmosphere.
But after seeing the world in a whole new way, Branson himself says,
We've got to all be doing everything we can to help this incredible planet we live on. I will devote the rest of my life doing that.
All while potentially cashing in on a lucrative form of tourism that's truly out of this world.
So Lauren, Richard Branson is not the only billionaire in this space race. What's next?
Well, Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder, he's going to be taking a short space flight of his own very soon. It's actually quite similar what he and Branson are trying to do, marketing these short space flights for consumers. And Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX fame, he's actually trying to build longer space flights that people can purchase. So there's a lot coming in this space in the months and years ahead. But for average Canadians like you and me, it could be a very long time, if ever, before we could afford these types of trips.
Yeah,
Asha?
I hear about 200K, so.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Lauren. Now to some harsh realities here on Earth. Weeks of blistering heat has turned forests in Western North America into kindling. 30 million Americans are now under a new heat dome warning, and there are now dozens of heat warnings in this country from Quebec to BC, where tonight more people are fleeing their homes. This is the Thomas Creek fire south of Penticton. Tonight, it's grown significantly. Residents of 77 homes in Okanagan Falls have been told, get out now. Another 600 homes are under evacuation alert, meaning be ready. All residents are being asked to register with the Evacuee Registration Assistance Tool. That is just one of at least 300 wildfires burning in BC tonight. For so many there, the situation is beyond exhausting. Briar Stewart shows us what people are dealing with.
Even before people were ordered out of Whitecroft, BC, many packed up because this is what they could see from their yards. The fire forced more than 130 families out of their homes last night.
Even if you have lived through fire seasons, there is always the chance that it can turn another direction or go a lot faster than anyone's prepared for.
Krista Gebhardt and her family are staying with relatives and waiting for any news about the fire.
But I feel nervous and incredibly grateful for the people who go running in when the rest of us go running out.
The whole hillside's gone.
Crews across the interior have been busy this weekend. On Friday night, some living near Vernon were forced out of their homes by this fire. They were allowed back hours later, but the threat hasn't completely subsided. Another fire is burning east of the community. Officials say they have to be strategic about where they send crews.
People, properties, critical infrastructure, and then resources. So we have to triage based on those priorities.
While crews are fighting fires, Transport Canada issued a new order in an effort to prevent them. On rail lines which run near Kamloops, CN and CP have to ensure they can respond to fires along the tracks within an hour, and 10 fire detection patrols have to be done every 24 hours. Across Canada, when temperatures rise above 30 degrees and the fire threat is extreme, trains have to slow down.
I have to assume from this that there is concern that the existing regulations were not sufficient.
It's not yet clear what started the devastating and deadly fire in Lytton, but investigators with the Transportation Safety Board are looking into the possibility it was started by a freight train.
Briar, the hot, dry weather has been, such a driver of this crisis. Is there any sign of relief on that front?
Well, there could be some later this week because officials say they're expecting a slight cool down on Thursday, but in communities like Kamloops and Kelowna in the interior, temperatures are supposed to be in the mid to high 30s throughout most of the week. And climatologists say it's the summer trend that's really concerning to them because throughout the rest of the summer, they're expecting more hot temperatures and they're expecting it to be particularly dry on the prairies and in the west.
Briar Stewart in Vancouver, thank you. The devastating heat is leaving its mark on the western United States, too. Karen Paul's on the fight to keep the damage there to a minimum.
Despite an extreme heat warning,
we're expecting it to be anywhere from about 110 to 120.
Tourists are still flocking to Joshua Tree National Park. This couple on their honeymoon.
It's the hottest place on earth. This is hot. It's never been hotter. It feels like we're in an oven.
But elsewhere, it's no holiday. Wildfires burning out of control, forcing evacuations. Firefighters say the air is so dry, much of the water dropped by bombers evaporates before it reaches the ground. This newly released video shows what firefighters have been up against for weeks. And while the season is still young, it's already been deadly. 2 Arizona firefighters died in a plane crash while doing reconnaissance yesterday. The heat wave means California residents have been told to cut back on water and power usage to prevent rolling blackouts.
Save the dishes, save the laundry, save all the video game playing until after 9 p.m.
The heat is also worsening California's drought, a big concern for farmers.
They're probably watering you know, 2.5 hours versus an hour and a half.
Further north, the extreme heat cooking shellfish in the water.
Having the hottest part of the day be when the oysters and clams are most susceptible to that heat really compounded the sort of normal summer stress on the shellfish.
The Federal Energy Secretary says climate change increases the odds and magnitude of events like this.
There should be a sense of urgency here. You see these incredible record events happening repeatedly. I don't know how much more evidence people need.
This is the fourth heat wave since the end of May. It comes after the hottest June in 120 years of record keeping. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Vancouver.
Let's move to the COVID story tonight. Canada's public health experts continue to press the need for vaccinations and say at least 80% of the eligible population needs to be fully vaccinated to keep COVID rates under control. The percentage of eligible Canadians aged 12 and over who've had both shots is now about 48%, and more than 78% have had at least one dose. But take a look at how demand for that first shot has plateaued in recent weeks. Valeria Corey-Minocchio now on the push to close the gap.
Today in Montreal, you could catch a show and catch up on your COVID-19 vaccine. The goal is to make it easier for young people to get the shot.
I'm working like 65 hours per week, so I really don't have time. I'm too tired, and the weekend I want to sleep. But because I'm here.
I keep telling him to go get vaccinated, but like now it's the right time. It was easier for me, and I'll be ready to travel or to see everybody earlier.
In Quebec, only 68% of people between the ages of 18 and 29 have received a first dose. That's the lowest uptake among all age groups.
What remains is the people who are fearful, hesitant, or lack information. So what you need to do is go from people to people sometimes and go to them where they are.
That's the approach Toronto is using. In some neighborhoods this weekend, community workers went door to door in what the city calls its homestretch vaccine push.
When we communicate with the people, we just tell them to don't scare, don't, the research, and you take the vaccine, we take the vaccine.
Health officials believe Canada is within reach of having at least 80% of the population fully vaccinated, but it will take work to get there.
We really need everyone to get vaccinated, to do both shots.
A message becoming urgent as variants spread.
We've got high rates of immunity through vaccination, but the virus is evolving and making it harder to control for those who are not vaccinated.
And this health expert's concern is for those who can't be vaccinated yet.
The big thing is kids. We can't vaccinate kids under 12. Those clinical trials are not done. And so it's really up to the adults to keep the kids safe. If we can drive the virus out of the adult community, then the kids aren't at risk.
A major push from many sides to avoid another wave of infections. Valeria Corey-Minocchio, CBC News, Montreal.
In the U.S., nearly 2/3 of the eligible population has had at least one dose, and more than half is fully vaccinated. But overall, the trend of daily new vaccinations has been tracking steadily downward. At the same time, the number of new cases is on the rise. As Judy Trin tells us, partisan politics is once again getting in the way of public health efforts.
How you doing, CPAC?
At this weekend's Conservative Political Action Conference, top Republican influencers railed against government efforts to get Americans vaccinated.
They were hoping, the government was hoping, that they could sort of sucker 90% of the population into getting vaccinated, and it isn't happening, right? There's a
Applause for anti-vaccine rhetoric comes at a time when much of the country is losing ground against the Delta variant, the now dominant strain of COVID-19 in the U.S. The biggest surge in hospitalizations is mostly in southern and Republican states.
It's horrifying. I mean, they're cheering about someone saying that it's a good thing for people not to try and save their lives.
The country's 7-day moving average is climbing, now to over 20,000 cases.
Our healthcare system in Southwest Missouri, we are absolutely stretched, further than we were stretched last year.
In Missouri, almost every new infection is occurring in unvaccinated people. Without protection against the Delta variant, all bets are off.
We'll do everything that we can to help you get back home to your family. But the reality is you may not go home.
Sweetening the shot has worked in some areas. This Oregon University student is the latest American to win $1 million for getting the vaccine.
I never imagined that.
But a jackpot isn't enough to convince the majority. The president's chief medical advisor says that may mean more drastic measures.
At the local level, there should be more mandates. There really should be. We're talking about life and death situation. We've lost 600,000 Americans already, and we're still losing more people.
And that will continue to happen if vaccination rates don't improve. Daily COVID counts are rising in 35 states. Judy Trin, CBC News, Washington.
Australia has reported its first COVID death this year.
And I want to extend my deepest condolences to their families and loved ones.
The state where it happened, New South Wales, has broken its record for daily new cases in 2021, with 77 reported today. Officials say 33 of them were from people out in the community while infectious, even though a lockdown's been in effect for 3 weeks. The remains of a second Canadian have been recovered from the wreckage of the collapsed condo in Surfside, Florida. Their identity has not been released. Officials now say 90 people have been confirmed dead, with another 31 still unaccounted for. The U.S. sent a technical team into Haiti today to assess the security situation and the country's needs after its president was assassinated last week. Jovenel Moïse was shot and killed in his home early Wednesday. At least 19 suspects have been arrested, most of them Colombian. But it's still not clear who ordered the hit or why. The assassination has plunged the government into turmoil, its leadership unclear, heaping problems on an impoverished country that was already dealing with rampant gang violence. Radio Canada's Jean-Michel Leprince is in Port-au-Prince, Haiti tonight. Jean-Michel, officials just gave an update on the investigation. What's the latest?
Yes, Chief of Police Léon Charles said they arrested the Haitian American doctor who lives in Miami and also in Haiti, who was supposed to be the one who recruited the 26 Colombian mercenary through a security company from Miami, CTU, owned by a Venezuelan. And we know that their first mission was to protect this man, Charles-Emmanuel Sanon, and then the mission changed and they were supposed to arrest the president, Jovenel Moïse, take him to the presidential palace and then substitute him for another president who could have been Sanon himself. So the police then said, we don't know who the real intellectual authors are because this operation was very expensive and Sanon is broke. Also, they don't know exactly who killed physically the president. They said that 5 Colombians are still at large. They are very dangerous. They are real commandos.
This is such a tumultuous time for Haitians. What are you hearing? How are they dealing with all of this?
Haitians are really stunned. They're used to a lot of violence, extreme violence here, but this kind of things never happened. The last time was in 1915, and it led to the invasion of the US soldiers. So now there's a very strange calm here in Port-au-Prince since the assassination. People are afraid to go out. A lot of shops are still closed. Traffic is very scarce, and even the gangs are not very active, with some exceptions, whereas they were not long ago in the middle of a terrible warfare. Demonstrations, there are rumors about that, maybe tomorrow, but to demonstrate against, protest against whom, we don't know. There's a vacuum at the top. Prime Minister Joseph Claude intends to remain as the acting Prime Minister, but there are other contenders. So there are discussions about it, and we are told they are very difficult.
Okay, thank you so much for this update. Jean-Michel Leprince in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Fans of Italian soccer are celebrating tonight. Their team beat England in a penalty shootout to win Euro 2020. And here in Canada, if you couldn't find a spot at an Italian bistro to watch, here's what you would have missed. Just incredible scenes. Jubilant fans freaking out in Toronto's Little Italy the moment their team pulled away 3-2 in the shootout to win the final, capping off one of the biggest tournaments in soccer. For some fans in Vancouver, the win had extra meaning.
This is life-changing. My nonna passed away a couple months ago. This is everything. This is everything.
Italy's historic win was celebrated right around the world, but just to throw a little extra salt into those English wounds, the match was held at Wembley Stadium. Salima Shivji is in London, the center of the soccer universe tonight.
On the pitch at game time, nerves all around, but on the English side, they're holding decades worth of anticipation. Their fans desperate for a first win in any major final since 1966. At screens across London, watching the game was one potential heart attack after another. Even though fans here were feeling pretty confident after their team struck first within minutes of kickoff.
We are buzzing. It's been such a long time coming.
We've not been in the finals of anything since like 66, so yeah, it's massive.
To be in a final and for it to be at Wembley won't happen again.
The giddy anticipation and the party outside Wembley began hours before the game. Some fans without tickets even stormed the barriers, trying to push their way in before security intervened.
And it's Luke Shaw!
With scenes like these across the country, you'd be forgiven for thinking everyone was rooting for the English side. But in small pockets of London, loyalties were somewhat divided among Italians living in Britain.
Italy, absolutely. But then I would be happy England too.
I love England, but I love Italian football more.
England is home for me at the moment, so, you know, there is a double side in me, but yeah, always Forza Italia.
This is a problem, and it is in!
And Italy got back into the match, tying it in the second half, leading to the dreaded finish for every fan, penalty shots.
Huge responsibility on his young shoulders.
The two sides even until the bitter end.
Penalties proved to be the dagger in English hearts.
Italy crowned European champions for the first time since 1968. England defeated and heartbroken. Her drought continues. Salima Shivji, CBC News, London.
Well, the world's #1 tennis player, Novak Djokovic, won the men's final today at Wimbledon and sealed his place in the record books. The Serbian beat Matteo Berrettini of Italy in 4 sets. The triumph also gave Djokovic his 20th Grand Slam title. That equals the records of Switzerland's Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal of Spain. As for what's next, Djokovic says he's undecided about competing at the Olympics because of COVID restrictions. When we come back, what's next now that Richard Branson's reached the edge of space?
3, 2, 1, release, release, release.
A Canadian who worked with NASA on what today's flight means for the rest of us. And as more people blast off to space, the risk back here on Earth. As restrictions lift, what are you comfortable with?
If we just would go back to completely normal right now, we could be in trouble very soon.
The doctors are here to help navigate this next step of the pandemic. And a vaccine clinic wrapped in a wall of gratitude.
It just kind of makes you feel good.
We'll be right back.
There's release there, the exciting moment, lighting the rocket motor.
We want to turn the next generation of dreamers into the astronauts of today and tomorrow.
What a day for billionaire Richard Branson and for space travel. Today, Branson rocketed to the edge of space on board his very own spacecraft. Next year, he hopes Virgin Galactic will be taking paying customers to same heights for about $250,000 each. This was an incredible feat for a private company to accomplish, and I'd like to bring in former NASA scientist Tanya Harrison to help put things into perspective for us. Tanya, how important was the success of this flight and others like it to the future of space travel?
This is a really big moment for the commercial space industry, and that helps us out for space travel in general because we're seeing a lot of partnerships being made between government space agencies like NASA and these commercial companies that really push the envelope when it comes to innovation. And Virgin Galactic has been working on this since 2004, so just seeing them finally be successful with a fully crewed launch is fantastic.
I gotta admit, I didn't expect it to be such a short journey. What can you say about that? Just, for people who don't get it at home who are trying to figure this out.
Space is actually not that far away. If you just look straight up, we're talking about getting from the ground out of the atmosphere. And so a lot of these flights, I think, are much shorter than people expect. There's about, a few minutes of weightlessness that you experience before you come back down and eventually land.
We're just coming out of a pandemic, though, of course, and a lot of people are struggling. Some balk at the sheer expense of these launches, along with the environmental impact. Is it worth it?
I think the thing to remember is that it's not like this money is just being literally shot out into space. There are tens of thousands of people that are employed across the country in the aerospace sectors working on these missions. At Virgin alone, they have 1,000 employees right now. And so these, help feed people, keep people housed. I work in the space industry, so, it helps me, which is really fantastic. And there are concerns to be had for sure in terms of like environmental impact of launches. And these are things that we should think about as space launches become more frequent. At this point, we don't do them nearly enough that they cause much of an impact on the atmosphere. But if we get to a point where we're doing launches every single day with multiple companies, then we're really going to want to take a look at that.
Right, because there are different goals for each space flight, as we know. Is this the exclusive realm of billionaires like Branson, Bezos, and Musk? Could it become more accessible for the rest of us? Should it, though, especially when you consider, as you mentioned, that environmental impact?
Well, the price should come down over time. If we look at aircraft or travel by airplanes when flights were new, for passengers, you were talking $5,000 just to fly from Boston to Los Angeles, for example. But as the flights become more frequent and the demand gets higher, we would naturally see these prices come down. And hopefully over time, these are the test vehicles in a lot of cases. So we can develop things that are greener technologies where we can fit more people, make it more cost effective and more environmentally friendly down the line.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much for sharing this insight, Tanya.
Thanks for having me.
So we spoke there about some of the environmental concerns that go along with these rocket launches. And with space exploration set to boom, those concerns are growing. But as Anayat Singh explains, there's research underway aimed at reducing the impact.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff of the Falcon 9.
Recent rocket launches have amazed the world with their reusable self-landing rockets, and these space launches are becoming cheaper and more common, but they have an environmental cost.
There are really two main sources of emissions from the space industry. The first one is from launch, and everyone can see plumes associated with rockets and trails of combustion products. The second source is that of defunct satellites, space debris, if you will, re-entering the atmosphere and burning up.
There are about 100 rocket launches every year, and the industry is expected to keep growing. The main worries from the launches are black soot and alumina particles. They end up in the upper atmosphere, the stratosphere, and interfere with its ability to reflect back the sun's heat.
Ultimately, these particles can cause heating in the same way that a greenhouse gas would, and they actually have a lot greater radiative forcing effect than carbon dioxide, for example.
Starlink deploy confirmed.
One particularly toxic fuel used in satellites and space vehicles is hydrazine, which is extremely carcinogenic and unstable. And despite precautions, thousands of tons of hydrazine fuels are released into the atmosphere every year. Tomislav Hristić, a researcher at McGill University,
so I'm going to do the drop test,
is working on alternatives that don't use hydrazine.
Wow, you saw it?
But are just as effective in powering space vehicles.
I think we have a really good contender to develop at least orbital propulsion systems that do not require hydrazines. And I'm pretty sure of that.
Experts say future growth in the space industry means now is the time to figure out the environmental impact. Anayat Singh, CBC News, Toronto.
Next, the push to remove a name seen across Toronto and address its namesake's painful past.
People say that this is erasing history. What do you think?
This is a fuller, richer, for some people, less comforting history.
The debate over Dundas Street right after the break. Welcome back. As Canada reckons with its colonial history and the legacy of residential schools, the country's biggest city is gearing up to make a major decision about a major downtown street that runs almost across the city. This week, Toronto City Council votes on renaming Dundas Street. Named for Henry Dundas 2 centuries ago, he's now remembered by many for suppressing Indigenous people and working to prolong slavery in the British colonies. Nick Purdon takes us through the debate.
Often when I'm asked why it's such a big deal, it's just a street name, my answer is it's not. We can't go on celebrating people who have contributed to enslavement.
That's Andrew Lahi. He started a petition to change the name of Dundas Street. Almost 15,000 people have signed it. And the City of Toronto is listening and seriously considering the change. But after almost 200 years of this street being named after Henry Dundas, why is it time to change it?
Black and Indigenous communities have been telling us over and over again, this is a problem. We need to do something about it. When someone is telling you to stop punching them in the face, why wouldn't you stop?
Andrew has spent a lot of time researching what Henry Dundas did. In the late 18th century, he opposed the abolition of slavery in British colonies, which led to more than 500,000 more people being enslaved.
Once we learn these things, we're compelled to take action. We can't just say, as citizens of Toronto, that, oh yeah, we know this, but we can't be bothered to do anything about it. I think that's unconscionable.
Thousands of people move along Dundas Street every day. It's one of the longest and most important streets in the province. To change the name, even within the city, would be a serious undertaking. So a common suggestion Andrew says he hears over and over is, instead of changing the name, put up a plaque that explains who Dundas was.
I actually think this is one of the worst possible outcomes, because what it says is, we know this is a person not worthy of commemoration, but we're going to do it anyway.
There are countless references to Henry Dundas all across Ontario, like this plaque in the town of Dundas. This is where I meet Christopher Radenovich. He doesn't want Dundas Street renamed.
The bigger issue for me is that if we start with Henry Dundas, then everybody's fair game, right? And then you're going to start tearing down everything.
Christopher started his own petition to keep the name. It now has about 1,500 signatures. But Christopher says for him, this goes beyond Dundas Street.
For example, I'm not okay with tearing down the statue of our country's founder, Sir John A. Macdonald. If we're to discredit all of the accomplishments of the past because we're trying to hold individuals to today's moral standards, then we're going to sweep history under the rug because we're ashamed of it. If we erase history, then there's nothing stopping us from repeating the mistakes of the past.
The other concern Christopher has is more concrete. The pandemic has been hard on him. He's had to move back in with his parents for financial reasons. And it's not lost on him that the renaming of Dundas Street would cost millions.
Spending millions of dollars changing the signs should be allocated to helping people thrive. Why would we spend millions of dollars changing signs when we could spend millions of dollars helping each other?
But maybe to better understand if we should change the name of Dundas Street, we should talk to someone who's been affected by his actions. Meet Melanie Newton.
I'm from Barbados. I am the descendant of enslaved people. And I am a historian. I have spent decades now researching the history of slavery, and you can see the names of people as they were recorded by slave traders who were captured and transported. So the name Dundas is plastered all over Ontario, but the names of millions of people are lost to the slave trade.
Melanie is a history professor at the University of Toronto, and she made a presentation to Toronto City Council in favor of changing the name.
People say that this is erasing history. What do you think?
What we're doing is trying to undo erasure, right? This is a fuller, richer, for some people, less comforting history. This is a fuller story.
Melanie says one of the goals of naming streets after British figures was to erase the Indigenous culture that was already here at the time. Still, she says this debate isn't about the distant past, it's about the future.
I have kids who are growing up here. I want them to understand that change is possible, that their voices count, that citizenship for them should not have to mean living with public celebrations of racism and violence.
What would it mean to you if the name is changed?
The day that I walk down that street for the first time and the name Dundas is gone would be a very emotional day, I have to say. I feel very proud to have been able to make this kind of difference. That would mean a lot.
Nick Purdon, CBC News, Toronto.
As COVID restrictions lift across this country, it can be complicated to navigate what is safe. Next on The National, the doctors weigh in on how we can change our personal behavior and whether we'll get back to a pre-pandemic normal. Welcome back. Across the country, as daily COVID-19 cases recede and vaccination levels rise, we are cautiously, hopefully returning to some semblance of normal. Today, Saskatchewan reopened, lifting all COVID restrictions. Alberta lifted almost all restrictions back on July 1st. British Columbia moved to stage 3 July 1st too, allowing larger gatherings. New guidelines are set to come out tomorrow in Quebec, reducing the distance people have to stay away from each other to 1 meter. And Ontario moves into stage 3 this week, opening gyms and indoor dining. The rules vary from place to place, but reopening is the common theme. So how should we be adapting in our daily lives? And what will a return to normal even look like? Joining me now is Dr. Peter Uni, director of the Ontario COVID-19 Science Table, and Dr. Alexander Wong, infectious disease specialist from Regina. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks, Asha.
Dr. Uni, let's start with you. Will we ever get back to pre-pandemic, let's call it the 2019 normal?
Yes, we will, but not right now. It's important to understand that before Delta, there was a fair chance to get back to something which looked quite normal already, in the next few weeks or months. With Delta now, there's an additional bump, and we just need to adapt to it.
And, with vaccination rates on the rise and restrictions lifting, can people start adjusting their behaviors? There's a lot of questions as to what we can do, what we shouldn't do. Dr. Wong, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's dependent from one community to the next. I think, Canada is not a homogeneous place. There's a lot of different dynamics going on. So I think it's going to be dependent on, what the rates of Delta and your case rates look like in a given community, as well as what your vaccine uptake looks like as well. So here in Saskatchewan and in our neighboring Alberta, things have opened up pretty much completely. Our vaccine uptake has been reasonable, but we're still lagging behind the rest of Canada. So, depending on your risk tolerance, there may be a role, to consider continuing to be cautious, as well as considering, simple measures like continuing to mask in indoor public spaces, and to consider sort of continuing to kind of restrict gathering sizes and so forth for a little while longer until we get a better sense of what Delta is going to do in Canada.
And Dr. Wong, we often hear about restricting capacity in buildings, but what about restricting the raw number of people we see? Is it okay to see, say, 100 people one at a time instead of all at once in one place?
I think it's less about numbers and more about how you interact with people. So obviously, when you are able to distance, regardless of whether you're indoors or outdoors, that's going to make a big difference. Meeting people outdoors is going to make a huge difference versus being indoors. And so, the highest risk setting remains, meeting people unmasked, in crowded indoor public spaces. Those are the types of settings where, again, if you're fully vaccinated and you're going to be with other fully vaccinated people, your risk is low. You probably don't need to mask in that setting. But if you're going to be, in a big crowd with a lot of different people, you don't necessarily know who's been vaccinated, who hasn't been, then that may be a place where it might make sense, to mask and be more cautious.
And Dr. Uni, I mean, there's a lot of questions around what it will look like when people return to work. That seems to be coming up. What do you suggest?
Well, look, right now with our stubbornly stable Delta here in Ontario, and this is different in Saskatchewan, for example, we just need to continue to be careful. This means, you will need to ask the questions, are you fully vaccinated or not? This will play a role. And you need to look into how well is the place you're working in ventilated. And in many situations, there will still be the necessity for masks. That's really, really important just to understand. If we just would go back to completely normal right now, we could be in trouble very soon. If you want a proof of concept, go to the UK, the Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, you name it.
And we know that other provinces have lifted their mandatory mask restrictions and requirements. Dr. Uni, how quickly should Ontario be following suit, you think?
I think we now need to calibrate our reopening to the situation we find in a few weeks. So when we go to the next step of the reopening, we need to wait roughly 3 weeks to see what will be happening. And we need to be careful. If this had been alpha, all done. We go back to something which looks quite normal. With this one, it's much, much more important just to stay careful.
And Dr. Wang, things are reopening where you are, but what advice do you have for parents? I mean, I think of myself, I have a 3-year-old who can't get vaccinated. What should parents like myself, 12 and under, they can't get the shot, what should they do?
I think the advice is similar. I think, again, a huge part of it depends on your own personal level of risk tolerance, as well as whether or not you've been vaccinated, whether everyone in the household has been vaccinated. So again, I mean, that's the first most important piece, as Dr. Uni mentioned, is that everyone in the house who's eligible to be vaccinated definitely needs to get fully vaccinated. That's the key point. And then from there, again, I think taking, precautions depending on what your case rates look like in a given setting, and if you're going to be in a higher risk setting, for example, in a crowded indoor setting or even a crowded outdoor setting like the football game, for example, it might make sense, again, in those types of situations to wear a mask and just take some extra precautions as we kind of give ourselves a few extra weeks, hopefully to get more people vaccinated and get a better sense of what Delta is really going to do to us.
Sound advice. Appreciate this. Thank you, Dr. Uni, Dr. Wang.
Thanks a lot.
Next, these people getting their vaccines are saying thank you to the staff in a colorful way. Their rainbow of gratitude is our moment tonight. Consider it a rainbow of hope. These are the walls at a vaccination site in Quebec where grateful vaccine recipients are leaving their mark with post-it note praise. The writing on the wall is our moment.
It started in March, where as soon as we began to give the vaccination, the team and all the employees were receiving a lot of great comments from the clientele. They don't necessarily get all the good feedback from the clientele because it's mostly the injectors at the end of the process that gets it. So we had that idea of having a wall of fame. We had started in the employees' room. We have a wall where we had good words. And eventually the idea came out from the team that we could use Post-it. We built a card, there's a lot of Post-it, and we just let it there and we invite the clientele to write whatever they wanted to say to us.
When you walk out at the end of the day and you're kind of tired, and it's nice to see just the color along the wall and to know that the people do appreciate it. They might not have stated it, but just the number of Post-its that are up there really does show that people are happy with what we're doing. So it's a good feeling to see all the Post-its on the wall.
Thanks for all the hard work you do. I love nurses.
I wrote, thank you frontline workers and scientists for making this possible. Your hard work and dedication is amazing.
Mine's a little simpler. Your dedication makes a huge difference. Thank you.
There we go.
I just said, thanks so much. Let's keep our chins up.
Beginning it's late April, we started it. There was only one glass. I'd like to have the whole arena fulfilled with those post-it. It brings a lot of color, and we know a sense of how much people pass through up to now here at the vaccination center.
I love that. And you know, people used their wait time after the shot to write these notes. Some are on the funny side, people apologizing to healthcare workers for fainting or for thanking them when they fainted. What's so neat is that the Post-its come in many languages. We're talking about French, English, Spanish, Arabic, and beyond. But overall, everyone says seeing this wall of gratitude makes them optimistic about a post-pandemic future. That is the National for July 11th. I'm Asha Tomlinson. Good night.